Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Into the Woods, and welcome to the show tonight. This is Dwayne,
This is Denise.
This is Danita.
and we are so happy that you have joined us to find out what we're thinking, what our thoughts are, what makes us tick. We're the Woods, and this is Into the Woods. Hey, guys, how you guys doing tonight?
We're
Good. We're
doing
doing
okay.
great.
Yeah, how was your week?
It was
We
a
had a good
long
week.
week.
Long week.
Hmm.
Started out a little sad, but it ended well. Ended
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Same.
we were in New York for the funeral, and yeah, it was heart wrenching, but I was glad that I got to see everybody. And one of my
Yes.
favorite pictures is the picture that we took with all of us, all six
Oh,
of us.
yeah, that was a
Okay.
nice.
I actually posted that on Instagram.
Yeah, I
Oh.
saw it. I
Okay.
was like, oh, look, it's us.
That's right. That's right. So I'm trying to remember the last time we all took a picture. I guess was it 2018 or 19 we had that Thanksgiving?
Yes,
It was
that was 19. Yeah,
2018. Yeah.
Okay.
the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
November.
Thanksgiving. Yes, it
Hmm.
was. That was the last time we all took a picture like that.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I was glad that we got a chance to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited because tonight we are going to be talking about a topic, and we were talking about what we're going to discuss on this show, and Denise had a brilliant idea, and so the topic we're talking about tonight is how do you cancel out the noise and find your worth, right? So how do you cancel out the noise and find your worth? So Denise, what when you came up with that topic, what were you thinking about? Just give us a little kind of insight into, first of all, what you were thinking before we get into the discussion.
Well, I was thinking really what stops you from understanding who you are. You get a lot of people saying things, and then you also have yourself get saying things about you. And so you don't know which one you should listen to, what voice you should listen to. So sometimes you get confused and you don't know what you're worth or where should you go, what should you do, who are you at the end of it all, right? Are you living your life for other people, are you living your life for you? How do you stop that and be still and figure out who exactly you are or where you want to go? That's how I was
Wow.
thinking.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. There's a lot of stuff in there. In fact, we can probably do a show on every aspect of what you just said.
Right. That is true.
And so yeah, it's a big topic. Um, so let's go backwards for a minute, right?
Mhm.
So how do you cancel out the noise and find your worth, right? So
Right.
before we even deal with what noise is, how you go about
Mhm.
canceling it, what does worth mean? How do we define that? What does that mean? How do you find your worth?
Well,
But
that's why we're having
it
this
goes
discussion.
along your self-esteem. It comes along with confidence in knowing who you are
Hmm.
without any question. Like, this is Danita. I know it's kind of hard to explain,
Hmm.
you know,
It is.
your worth, because it's a feeling more than anything. That it's almost as if to say I deserve certain things, and I'm not going to accept less than
Yes.
I want for myself. um it really is kind of difficult, at least for me, to explain, because it's more of a feeling.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
So more of a
Uh,
feeling. Go ahead, Denise.
um. I yeah. I'm going to piggyback off what she said. It is more of a feeling. Um. But I think it's learned what your worth can be. I
Mm-hmm.
guess from looking like at other people. Um. I might not be explaining it right, so I'm going to divert it to doing.
well, well, I mean, so when I think of something that is valuable, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I think the word worth, I think of value, right? So what is my value? What is my
Right.
worth? How much am I worth?
Mm.
And things tend to have an intrinsic value, right? So a dollar is worth a dollar because that's what a dollar is, right?
Right. Right.
And so if I go and I find a piece of gold and they say this
Wow.
gold is worth a dollar, right? That is already defined. It's predefined,
Right.
But
Right.
it
right?
changes though.
And well, tell me about that. So does it change? Well, a dollar doesn't change, does it?
A dollar doesn't change, but the worth of the dollar does, because if you say, okay, fine, I found gold, all right, but you're telling me gold is worth a dollar, but in my mind that gold is worth a
Way
hundred
more.
a hundred dollars, right? So now that dollar is not worth as much in the beginning when you didn't have the gold.
The gold.
Mm.
So the worth changes.
Okay,
But
the worth.
then if we're talking about finding your own worth, how do you not have your worth changed based on other people's value? How do you not change yourself?
Mm. Mm. I love that.
So more of how do you not accept the value that others place on you?
Ooh,
Right. There you go.
there you go. Oh, I love that. I love that right there. Because the dollar changes, right? So if you go to other countries, our dollar here in the United States is worth different amounts,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? We're from Guyana, and right
Uh-huh.
now a dollar, I think it's a 200 Guyanese
Right.
dollars,
You won.
is what it's
Yeah.
is what it's worth, right?
Mhm.
And we devalue money, right?
Mhm.
Inflation changes money,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? And so the question is, is our worth that volatile, or should it be that volatile?
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't,
It
but
shouldn't.
unfortunately,
It We
it
allow it to be.
fluctuate based
It
on
fluctuates based on what you're feeling within yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, what you tell yourself as well. Sometimes
Yes.
your value comes from other people, and you don't allow that value to come from yourself. But then sometimes you don't even know how to get the value for yourself. You don't know
Mm,
how, in your mind, how to quiet that down, because you all you hear is you tell yourself negative things, and that's what
mm,
comes out. And so because you tell yourself negative things and this comes out, you then look to other people to show you your value, and it
Value.
shouldn't be
mm,
that
mm. Wow, wow, wow. So how do you, so you essentially have to have a sense of value first,
way. Yeah.
Right.
or do I quiet the noise first, then find the value? Because that's what the question says, right? The topic we're
Right.
talking about. Or do I have to have some intrinsic value or intrinsic sense of value first? See, we're getting to the end of the conversation. I'm not even. I'm
Right.
gonna. We're
Yeah.
gonna hold. We're gonna hold off on that.
Well, you have to, but
No.
I think the better question is, how do you strengthen that sense of value,
Hmm.
Right.
right? I think as
Mhm.
you strengthen that sense of value, that noise will quiet down because it has no more power over you. You don't hear all of that stuff going on in your head. So, how do you strengthen your value,
But in
your
order to
sense of
strengthen
value?
it, in order to strengthen it, then you have to be able to shut that noise out
Mm.
first,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because if you're being constantly bombarded with negativity, 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 okay, I know I'm worth something, right, within
Mhm.
myself. But if you're always being knocked down, then you're like, okay, wait, hold on a minute. This is how I feel.
Right.
But if I'm getting negative from here and there, we're human. We sometimes second guess.
Mm.
So how do we get that noise to quiet? Do we just shut it off? You just shut it off? How do we get it to not change who we are?
Mm. So well, I guess let's think about it maybe a little differently, right? So
Mhm.
So how do you think, how do you guys think we can shut it off? I guess let's start there. So there's this worth thing that we're going to come back to, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to have to deal with that. But how can we shut noise off?
The negative, I guess you would surround yourself with positive.
You
Okay.
have
What
to.
right.
But wait a minute. So
That's nice too.
there, but there you're not really shutting the noise off.
Right.
You're changing the environment.
Right.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
changing the noise.
You,
Right.
you're
Changing what you're feeding yourself.
right.
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 Mhm.
I love it because sometimes you can't change, you can't shut the noise off,
Mhm.
right? So the question presupposes that we're going to be able to turn it off,
You
Right.
can't.
but maybe we can't turn it
Well,
off.
let's see.
And so how do we thrive maybe despite the noise is maybe a question.
Right. Right.
Okay.
But you have to change your environment again, like I said before, and surround yourself with positive things. Look at things that you're interested in, around
Right.
people that are doing things that you would like to do that maybe you thought
Right.
you couldn't do before. You have to just switch your
Years.
environment. I mean, I
Right.
don't know how else to
Hmm.
explain
Hmm.
that.
Right.
I don't.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I can speak for myself. There are things that, I don't feel confident about, and so I
Hmm.
just kind of focus on positive things. I look at different things that interest me, right, and then I become confident, like, oh, I could do this or I could do that. But if I
Right.
keep sitting there looking at stuff, I'm like, oh, woe is me, I can never. Why? It's never gonna change. It's just like a
Okay.
cycle, just keep going and going. It's just
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So one is changing what we're feeding ourselves.
Right.
exactly.
Hmm.
Okay. So one way of maybe not turning off, but maybe quietening or overpowering the noise
Yeah.
that we're hearing. Um, is there such a thing as good noise and bad noise?
Well, positive and negative. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Positive
good
and
and bad
negative.
and everything. It depends on which one you decide you want to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you noise, you can say the things you if you change your environment, right? An environment is good and bad. So
Right.
you're
Yeah.
gonna
You have to pick and
refuse
choose
the
what you
bad
want.
environment, the one that's not feeding you positivity, the
Hmm.
one that's
Hmm.
making you feel less than, the one that's telling you don't have this value, to a
Right.
different environment that's saying you have value.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is
But
value.
going back to something that we discussed last week, um, and Carlos loves to talk about mindset, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we can change our environment all we want if we're if our
If we are
mindset is that we are not worthy, or our mindset is that we're going to intake the negative.
Mhm.
Being in a positive environment sometimes just is just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So going back again to within yourself, you
Mhm.
have to be ready for whatever
That
change that
change.
you want to do, right? So you have your
Right.
subconscious and you have your conscious. Your conscious is like, look, girl, I'm ready for some change. Your subconscious is,
No, I'm not.
okay, all right, so how are we going to go about this? We're going to go to, okay, well, if you go to positive, people in the positive area can probably still, so you still
Mm-hmm.
have to change your mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be
Okay.
ready for it,
Mm-hmm.
Right,
right?
Okay.
And I
Right.
don't think you'll make that change unless you're ready for it.
Right.
right.
Hey, Denise, you mentioned someone there a minute. You mentioned Carlos. Why don't you tell everybody who Carlos is?
Oh, Carlos is our cousin. He's our cousin, and we were with him this weekend, and we had a great time.
I told him, I said Carlos is probably the smartest one of all of us.
Mhm.
he is.
Yeah,
He
he's very
is.
insightful, though. Very
Yeah,
insightful.
Yeah.
he
He
is. He
is.
is.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. So mindset, right? So change in
Mhm.
mindset, and you know, I am just fascinated because listen, you guys were down here when was it 2 months
April.
ago?
Yeah,
Maybe.
it
Mhm.
Yeah.
was February,
Was
the
it
latter part.
February? Wow, wow.
Yeah,
It seems like
February.
just okay.
Was it February?
But
Yeah,
yeah, but I think
17.
Danita, you've been pointing something out to me or to us every time we talk, right? You've been saying, "Oh my God, it's all the same stuff."
Ah,
It's like every conversation we have comes back to this mindset thing.
yeah, because
Mhm.
it's the root of everything.
Right.
It nothing changes unless your mind changes.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be. It just I don't even I don't know how to explain it. If your mind, if you're not ready, if you not have not changed your mind and decided this is what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
it's never going to happen. You can
Right.
Right.
wish it, you can hope for it, but you
Right.
have to have intention.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, I
You can
really
make the
want to
intention.
do this, and you have to just switch and make the changes.
It's
Wow.
like people saying that you have to do it. It's still afraid.
Mm.
When you wanna change, it is a fair, right? Because you're used to the negative.
Yeah,
So you're doing it in fear, not understanding what could come out of it. But once you do start talking to people, putting yourself into positive places, trying to change your mindset, and it doesn't happen, it's a huge thought that you have, and you're like, okay, we're going to do it. It starts with baby steps.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Then you start to
really
see
baby steps.
changes.
You
And
got to
Okay.
those baby steps become bigger and bigger and bigger. And then at some point, that negative, it no longer is. And then you're helping someone else.
Right.
right,
Stop being
because
negative.
you look back and you be like, oh, I didn't even have to be scared of it. Like, what was the big deal? The
Yeah.
big deal, you didn't know. You didn't think you
Mm-hmm.
could do it.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, so let's pause here for a minute, and so we're on this show, right?
Right.
And a lot of people are seeing us for the first time, right? This is, and maybe we need to do an introductory show. But what tell me about Into the Woods, right? Because I think that plays into the conversation that we're having tonight, right? Into the Woods.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Into the Woods?
Into the
Well,
Woods is us talking to you about different topics and how we think about them. That's what Into the Woods is. Danita?
I mean, same. But I get a picture in my mind of, yes, we're talking about different topics, and our names are Woods, but everybody is in some kind of woodsy area trying to find their way out, trying to figure out how best to navigate life. So for me, although yes, our name is Wood, it just fit, but we're just trying to navigate and figure out how best to deal with life, and we're having the discussion with siblings, and that's what it means to me.
Right, right. Okay. All right. So basically how do we think, what makes us tick, how do we through our experiences maybe help people who are
Right.
in the woods,
There you
right?
go.
Like you say, maybe come
Mm-hmm.
out of the woods.
Woods.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love it, love it, love it. Right. Okay. So mindsets, right? So once again, back to our. Let me put that back over the screen so everybody remembers what we're talking about. How do you cancel out the noise and find your worth? So we've talked about worth, right? We talked about the noise and some ways of quietening because we can't maybe get rid of the noise, but we can do some things that will help us overcome. Is that a good word to use? Overcome
Mhm.
the noise.
Yeah.
Overcome is
Yes.
good. Hmm.
Okay, all right. So positivity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
changing your environment.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of self talk, right? And Danita, when we were in New York, we talked about that. And by the way, I have the video from the car, so I think I may edit that right? And maybe put it up as a separate, just a conversation, right?
Okay.
The three of us, me, Danita, and one of our cousins, Esmond, we were just in the car, just driving, and we put we put the phone on the dashboard, and we're just having a conversation. And a big
Conversation.
part of the conversation had to do with mindsets, right? How
Mindset.
do we change the mindset? Okay,
That is
so
key.
all right, so we're trying to change the mindset, and Denise, I'm gonna direct this at you, right? So we're trying to change the mindset, but I mean, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, we go to work and there's this negativity. The news gives us negative. We are on the social media and there's all this negative. Some of our friends who may be right now in our circle may not be the most positive people because of all the stuff that's going on around us, right? So
Right.
how do you overcome that? I mean, yes, change your mindset, but how do you do that in the midst of all of that stuff?
For me, I sit still. I remove myself literally, physically.
Right.
And for me, if it's too much, I have to sit. I know this is not where we're supposed to be going with this, but if you sit and you meditate and you pray, for me, that's my happy spot at the end of it all. So when it's too loud for me, because we can talk about our experiences, because we're talking about Into the Woods, that's my happy place. So just absolutely remove myself and go somewhere else and just sit still. That's how I quiet the noise for me.
Okay.
In the
So
midst of the noise.
finding a Zen place,
Place.
Right.
essentially. Right.
Hmm.
Okay. For finding the Zen place. Danita, what do you think?
Well, I mean, yes, I believe that that's something that you need to do. You need to find that space within yourself where you can pull back and just kind of center yourself. I do that with writing. I do that with dancing because for some reason I just can focus with those two activities and just kind of shut everyone out and try to figure out what's best for me.
Okay.
What
So
about yourself,
finding
Lynn?
you. Sorry. Go ahead.
What about yourself?
Um, I have some routines that I do,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of this, frankly, comes from my wife. I mean, she has been very instrumental in helping me to find a structure in my life that helps to quiet my noise. So my morning success journaling that I do before I leave work, I do a brain dump, right? So all the stuff that's been going on in there, I put it in my journal. And then
Right.
before I go to bed, I do another journal. So I do a lot of journaling. So basically journaling is what that all is, right? Different mechanisms for doing it and so forth. And I find that when I do that, I can take some of the stuff out of my head, get it out of there, so that I can be more creative. I can be more attentive. I can be more present
Right.
Right.
for now and more present for me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been my way of doing it. And Danita, I'm going to hop on you for a minute. So journaling.
Yes.
So you're in the process of doing some stuff with journaling. Tell us about that.
Oh, I've created some journals that I've posted on Amazon, and they have specific titles to them. Um, one being pretty much kind of what we're speaking about now, fear. So it's for you to just put whatever fears you may have and try to work them out, and it's to help you find your value, get that out, figure out how best to go forward. So
Right, right.
that's what I've been
Beautiful.
doing with journaling. Yeah.
Okay. So at least those are three things, right? So find your quiet place, find your Zen place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, journaling,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
right? And Danita, summarize for us what was your, and I know you said a bunch of things. So if you had to put say all that you said in a sentence, what would you say
What do you mean in regards to?
in regards to what you do to quiet the noise?
I journal and I dance to
Journal
quiet
and
the
dance.
noise.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, journaling and dancing. That's right. You do all the kind of. I'm gonna. No, I think I told you. I'm going to take a class, and I told Charmaine. Charmaine that I am going to. We're gonna take a dance class.
Yeah.
Because I think music is so whether it's dancing or playing
Mm-hmm.
music, and you guys may hear the piano in the background. That's Blake on the piano, and we have tried to encourage him to continue because he sometimes he fights us, but encourage him
Right.
to do the piano because I know what that's going to do for him in the future. It's going to be a thing that he can use, like we're saying, to maybe
Right.
get away, to take his mind, to
It's
quiet the
escape.
noise, to escape. Yeah, essentially to escape. Oh, and by the way, talking about music, recently I reconnected with one of my piano teachers. I don't know if you guys remember Bobby Several.
Yes.
Remember the
Yeah,
name? Yeah.
so we connected on Facebook after all
Facebook.
these years. That's my
Oh
what,
wow.
35 years
That's
ago
all. Yeah.
Oh
or
wow.
more.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
That's
so that
nice.
was cool.
That's
All right, so quieting the noise so that we can find our worth. So let's come back again, full circle
hmm
to worth, because I think sometimes the reason we allow the noise to affect us so much is because we don't know the intrinsic value in ourselves,
yeah.
right? Sometimes we've been damaged or something has happened. So what do you think are some reasons for either of you, and both of you may answer this question? What do you think are some reasons why we don't know how valuable we are?
Maybe things people have said to us.
Mm-hmm.
People just say things and they don't know the impact it has, right? So things your parents may have said, things your brothers and sisters may have said or done, all right? You interpret them a certain way, right? And then sometimes you just feel, well, they probably said this to me because, they don't think something must be
Good.
wrong with me. Like they
Right.
Mm.
they say all kind of stuff. Like they beat up your blue bunny, your brown bunny, right? Right, Dwayne? Right?
I have
Please
no idea what
don't
you're
hit
talking
my
about.
bunny.
I mean, Bunny, I don't know. If you're watching, I have no idea what she's referring to.
No, but I mean, a lot of times, most times, it's
Hmm.
things you have heard from people close to you, and
Hmm.
and and you internalize it, and then you sometimes feel like you're not worth something, or
Right.
your
Right.
your, your value is diminished because
Yeah.
how could they say certain things like that to you?
Right.
Right.
But
Wow.
then they don't know, right?
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I told you guys about a story that you didn't know before about when I was in elementary school, and something that a teacher said to me that has, I mean, continues to even today impact
Mm-hmm.
me and impact Blake, right? Because it's in my head, and Blake is having some of the effects of
Of it.
that.
Right.
And maybe one day I'll share that on air.
Right, right.
But and that was, wow. Let me see. I was in the sixth grade.
Right.
hmm
Yeah, I mean,
hmm
I was in sixth grade, and even as I'm telling you about it, right?
Right.
I still feel I still feel the emotion of it
hmm
back then, and I'm sure that teacher doesn't even remember. And he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't. It wasn't a mean thing, but
Mm-hmm.
as a child, right? Sixth grade. How old are you in sixth grade? The 7, so 13, so 12,
Teen.
11, 10, 11 years old,
Early teens, 12.
right?
Yeah.
So that, I
Preteen.
mean, that has a big impact on people, and so you grow up, and there are all these things in your head. I was
Right.
listening to a a show recently, and the person who was talking about the fact that when we are born, we come without fear,
Yeah.
right? We come without knowing the stuff out here. And then at some point, there are these rules and these laws and these, when I say law, I don't mean like laws from the country, but there are
Yeah.
these things that society says if you're going to survive out here,
You
right,
have to do these things.
then these are the ways that you behave.
Right.
And sometimes if you don't conform to that, then things don't go well. And so there's this stuff, first of all, that gets put on us that changes how we interact with the world.
Yeah.
Right. It's true.
So that's huge.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, go ahead, jump in. Sorry.
No, but you're right. I
Yeah.
mean, you develop your value or lack thereof based on things you've heard,
Mm-hmm.
things that people have told you.
Or
So
things that people have done to you that you
yeah,
just never verbalized. Um,
Mm,
exactly.
and then it
Yeah,
just becomes part of who you are.
you are.
right.
And they don't understand why you are the way you are, but it's just things that have been done and said to you over time.
Yeah, and
Right.
sometimes you get mad is because of you, because you just talk.
So, so those of you who are listening, that's what happens sometimes when we get excited or when we get emotional. Our the accent comes out. So that's what you just heard right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
That's what you just
But
heard.
yes, sometimes sometimes you people crack, right? And that happens, and then you release that, and
Right.
then sometimes your value comes back after you
Yeah.
said all that.
Does come back.
Oh
Yes.
my god!
Oh, but so Denise, walk us through where are we so far? All right, starting with the question. Here's the question that we had.
Yeah.
So how do you cancel out the noise and find your worth? So where are we now in this question? Kind of walk us through what we've discussed so far.
We've discussed mindset. We've discussed how and why we get to where we are with the negative noise and positive. We're trying to go get the positive. We've spoken about um, actions that people take against you,
Mm-hmm.
or things that people have said to you that creates this character that you present, which is truly not you because you're not sure who you are at the time. So yeah, that's where we are. Are
Okay.
you trying to? Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think we've kind of answered the question on how do you cancel the noise and find your worth?
We've kind of answered the question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk more about it? Of course. Right?
Yeah.
Because there's always things that can be said and things that can presented to help someone else in that situation. But I think that we scratched the surface
Yeah.
of it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. And I think and Danita, I'm gonna come to you in a minute because I'm gonna ask you, right, as we are concluding and as we're leaving, right, because we always want and I loved your analogy of there are people that are in the woods, right? They're in the bushes, they're in the woods out there. And so understanding how we think and some experiences that we've had may help them, right? People are ultimately creative
Mhm.
and they have an innate sense in their lives of possible solutions. And our job, my job, part of my job, is to help break down those barriers so that they can see, first of all, the intrinsic value in themselves, their thoughts, and their ability to be creative and find a solution. And that is so beautiful to me because that allows people to know that there is once again value in me. There is some value in me. There is some reason, some purpose that I have. And if I can get through some of this noise, Denise, love that. If I can get through some of this noise, then I can get there. Okay. And ultimately that's what we want, right? We want to get there where we are kind of living these lives that are out of the woods, right?
Right.
In the light, in the society, in the community, in the family. So we are present right now for what we want to do. So, all right. So Danita, what's our
Yes.
challenge? What's our challenge for people? What do we want them to do?
Well, we've all discussed, we discussed a lot of things, what could create the noise. And we said you could change your environment. But one of the things that may be the easiest for everyone to do is to probably find that one thing that can help them just kind of center themselves. So for me, it was dancing. Dwayne is journaling. Denise is meditating. So I would like them to find something that would just help them to just center themselves so they can be still and quiet, and then from there maybe then everything else would flow.
I love it. So find their one thing.
Yes.
I love it. Like find your one thing. So, well, I love it. So, any parting words? Anything else you guys want to say before we sign off?
No,
It was
just
nice.
we hope that we're helping you find what your worth is, what your self
Yeah.
worth is, and I hope that you take on the challenge
Yep.
of finding that thing that makes you sit still and try to figure out who you are.
Yep. We're here with you. We're all walking through the woods. So
Love it, love it, love it. Well, guys, thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for our additional episodes of Into the Woods, because we want to help you come out of the woods. Have a good one. We'll see you next video.
Bye, guys.